welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Just quick introductions. I'm Ryan Putri, market owner for WatchGuard's wireless portfolio. Just to give you kind of an idea, why am I giving this presentation? So my background from WatchGuard is a little bit unique. I started as a registered reseller of WatchGuard based out of Iowa in the US and managed WatchGuard fireboxes for quite a while. And then was lucky enough to come over to the WatchGuard sales engineering team and supported kind of the Midwest region in the United States, and then moved over to the product management team. So when we're talking about, working with customers, getting through the renewal cycles and upgrading hardware, I've kind of got a little bit of a perspective from all these different angles. So today I'll be doing most of the presentation, but I am joined by my marketing manager, Kayla. Kayla, do you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. And we're really lucky to have you, right? You started out as a registered reseller for WatchGuard, and now we're able to use you on our side, I guess. But my name is Kayla Muirhow. I'm the product marketing manager here at WatchGuard, representing network security, Wi-Fi, and the WatchGuard cloud product lines. I started out prior to WatchGuard working in Apple, and then moved into the virtualization market. Then after virtualization, I moved into SharePoint, which was a really fun and exciting market for me. And now I'm here focusing on network security. And so all of that has kind of combined with Ryan's experience to bring you a really great webinar today about how to deliver a modernized network and really get through, how do we also get rid of that older hardware?
Great. So let's dive into this. We on the agenda first, give you kind of an idea of what we're going to go through. We've got a couple polling questions, like all webinars. We're here to help you learn something, but we also want to learn a little bit from you too. So these polling questions are really designed to help us better understand how you guys approach your customers. Please, fill these out. They are super helpful for us. From everything from understanding our marketing that we deliver to you to understanding the features that we build into our products. We're going to kind of kick off talking about auditing a customer's network. What does that mean? This is something that I love to do. It was one of my favorite activities actually when I was a reseller. So we're going to go through kind of my experience, and if you guys have anything different that you do, we'd love to hear it. Drop some stuff in the chat. Again, this helps us make our products better. And then we'll jump into the benefits of trading up with WatchGuard, specifically around our Firebox and our Wi-Fi products. And then Kayla is going to help us talk a little bit about the end of sale, end of life policies, what WatchGuard does to help make sure that we don't miss renewals, we don't miss expirations of licenses, and we'll wrap up with Q&A. So let's jump right in. We have our first question around network auditing. So do you guys, as your company, use any tools to do network mapping? Now, this can be network mapping for the physical network, the wireless network, both, or do you guys do manual processes to do this? So you should see the poll up. See, people are filling it out. Thank you. We'll just give it a minute here as we get everybody answered. Awesome. All right, so the results are in. It looks like the results come up as 53% no, 27% depends on the customer size, and then some people do always and sometimes. So awesome. I think this webinar will be useful for everybody, actually. So let's jump right into auditing. So there's two levels of auditing that I always think are the most important, and there's a lot of things you do with customers that are important, but these are very important. And the first one is understanding what inventory are we focusing on. So where do you find out what inventory your customers have that are expiring and which ones do we prioritize? And so in WatchGuard, there's two places. Traditionally in the support center, you can get a list of the assets that are registered to the account. So if I log in as ryan.putri to watchguard.com, I can see any of the devices that are registered to me. If you register all of your devices under your company account, you'll be able to see all of your customers' devices there as well. If you register your appliances to accounts specific for your customers, so if I'm managing a network for Kayla and I registered under her account, then you would need to log into her account to see the expiration data of Kayla's equipment. So not a super great way to get a good visibility into all of the devices that you may be using. But this is definitely one area where if you're looking at moving into WatchGuard Cloud for visibility on your fireboxes or for the new Wi-Fi 6 product, where you can definitely get a much better experience in managing your customers' licenses and expiring boxes. Because not only do you get visibility into the boxes that are registered under your account, any accounts that are delegated to you to manage inside of WatchGuard Cloud gives you that visibility. So a very much more simple experience for your technicians when you need to go through and see what appliances are there. WatchGuard also does some automated renewal processes. This is what Kayla is going to talk about later. We'll talk about how we communicate with the appropriate people when boxes are expiring. The other one that's really exciting, and WatchGuard does a little bit today, but we're going to do a lot more of it in the future, is anything to do with automated API connections into like your RMM platform. So ConnectWise or Autotask or Taggerpaw or any of the other ones that are out there. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about how you can integrate WatchGuard Cloud or our fireboxes directly into those RMM platforms, definitely reach out to your sales teams. We have some really exciting stuff coming from WatchGuard Cloud with API integrations. We have a pretty good inventory management integration with our fireboxes directly with ConnectWise platforms as well. That can make this task much, much simpler and actually automate a lot of this work for you. So this is really the first level of understanding what work do I need to do and where is that work at throughout my customer base. So the second one, this was really the part that I enjoyed to do, it was the network auditing. And now when we're talking about network auditing, not necessarily talking about security, like it's not a security penetration test and things like that. It's really more about understanding the needs of your customer and how they've changed since you put that original firewall appliance in. So what I liked to do and what we are actually recommending that our partners do is to create a security or a customer assessment overview that you can go and talk to these customers. And these are some examples that you can put in here, but there's lots more that you can do. I would recommend talking to your systems engineers, your WatchGuard sales engineers and sales teams to help build this out. But just some examples is, who is their ISP and has it changed? I don't know how many more options there are for internet providers than there was 3 years ago, right? I mean, they're bringing gigabit fiber into your house now, so that T40 that they're running, maybe can't keep up with the internet speed anymore. Maybe that's alone is a good reason to go and do a hardware refresh, a trade up on their fireboxes. The security landscape has dramatically changed, over the last 3 years or more. So does WatchGuard have a new security service that customer is not using? And what is the impact on the performance of that appliance when you turn on that security service. So another really good reason, maybe you would need to go from a T40 to something like an M290 to give them enough performance and enough horsepower to keep their network up and running at a speed that they expect. Is there other services? So remote work obviously has become a big deal, and we all went through a period when COVID kind of initially started, which feels like forever ago, where everybody went home, and the 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 IT administrators and us as partners were required to spin up a solution to connect these people back into the data that they needed, but we had like a day to do it. So there are a lot of solutions that aren't great that are still up and running. There are a lot of solutions that were really well thought out that are still up and running, but adding things like MFA and setting up a really good remote access solution is a good opportunity. To talk about that trade up. I need a bigger box to support the VPN count, to support the performance. Maybe they need a bigger ISP to support it, and that's going to drive to a larger firebox or a smaller firebox for them. And this audit, this opportunity to go sit down and talk to the customer will bring out that information. So the other one that I run into all the time, and I do this as well. You buy a firewall and it's got total security on it, and you're running about 50% of the services for whatever reason, right? Maybe they just didn't want to turn on the intelligent AV at the time or the access portal at the time, but they're paying for it, right? So this is another good opportunity to go in there and say, okay, Mr. Customer, we're going to do a trade up. It's got total security. Here are the services that you are running. Talk with your engineers, find out what they are using, and then go through the list of services that they're not running. And while this is a great service to your customer, this is the ability for you guys to add additional work, additional billable hours to make a little bit more money on this trade up. The other one that I'm definitely fall into the category of is policies that maybe you set up for one time or one thing and you've never used them again. And the best example of this is that I've ran into doing like network audits is printers, right? I got this copy machine. I need to copy to fax or I need to copy to email. So I create a custom policy inside the firewall and then that printer goes away. Do we always remember to go take that policy out of the firewall? Probably not. I don't. I have forgotten multiple times. Or a TV, a smart TV that the executive needs to get to some weird, streaming site for some show that they want to watch. So the trade up is not only just getting new hardware, but it's getting the ability to sit down with the customer, talk about the services they're running, talk about their needs, talk about an opportunity to come in and clean it up and make sure that the configuration on that box is optimal for them today, not what it was optimal 3 years ago. And so, the network audit is all about this, and we covered all this, but the highlight is you can pitch additional managed services and license upsells that meets the customer's needs. Now, we do recognize that it's not always moving to a bigger box is the right solution for the customer. Our trade up program is based off of going from a box to a larger model, but we recognize that's not always the case. And that's what your sales team, your regional sales team is there for. So if you have a customer that maybe went to remote work and now they have the need for a smaller firewall, but you want to move to the new platform, you want to bring in the total security suite, work with your sales team. They can help with getting that to happen. And then for you partners that are managed service providers, this is a great time to position maybe a new MSP service that you're offering. Maybe you have a network monitoring platform now that you're using, or maybe you kind of built out a SOC inside your organization that you're selling to your new customers, but you haven't had a chance to go back and talk to your existing customers about it. So make a list of all the boxes that are expiring, get them that new hardware, those new services, and you can kind of pile on that new MSP offering that you as the managed service providers are offering out to your customers. So overall, this is a great opportunity to sit down and better understand where your customer is today and get that network kind of up to speed to where it needs to be. All right, so we're going to jump to the second polling question. What is the most difficult part of upgrading your customer's network? And we got 5 answers. We got finding the partner hardware to upgrade to, learning the new features and solutions, training the customer, convincing the customer to start the upgrade project, or reason not listed here.
I'm just waiting a little bit longer to see if we can get more answers, Ryan, okay? Just wait a little bit until we get at least 50% of the audience votes.
All right, thank you. And so far, it looks like the majority is convincing the customer to start the upgrade project. That has always been a challenge. I have heard, just kind of a tip on that, I've heard some customers and partners that do this, and we did a little bit back when I was at a reseller. Start the upgrade project right away. You know, you're putting in a new box today and have that laid out very clearly that we upgrade at this point in time. So we need to budget throughout the next 3 years to have a new piece of hardware in the budget at a specific time. And then that, you know, kicking off that project does become a little bit easier. All right. So let's move into kind of the cloud benefits. WatchGuard has put a lot of effort into, and a lot of our development resources are going into our new WatchGuard cloud management platform. Now, before we get into this too far, do know we are continuing to support and update our WSM platform. We're continuing to support and update our local web UI and our local logging and reporting servers. So this is not a, you have to change to WatchGuard Cloud today. This is a, you know, we want to build enough benefits into WatchGuard Cloud that you as the partners see the benefit and you choose to move kind of on your own. But there are some really exciting updates coming for the WSM platform. So don't feel like that we are going to be, you know, not supporting that management tool in the future. But WatchGuard Cloud does give a lot of benefits. It's a single pane of glass to manage everything WatchGuard. So our Wi-Fi, our fireboxes, our endpoint products, our off-point products are all in one place for you to manage. And WatchGuard Cloud is designed as a multi-tier, multi-tenant platform, which gives you the ability as a service provider to see all of the information about your subscribers or your customers that are underneath your account. And so when we go back to like the first slide we were talking about, you can get that central visibility to all of your customers' information in one place, where in the past it has been much more difficult to kind of get all that information brought together. We do have great usage and policy reporting. We have templates built in for the Firebox and for the wireless products to kind of ease that deployment. And we can leverage our rapid deploy technologies and do offline configurations in WatchGuard Cloud. And then we can push those to the appliances when they are kind of turned on at that customer site. The advanced alerting, logging, and reporting tools in WatchGuard Cloud are really good. We can set up things like license expiration alerting. We can set up things like online, offline, if an appliance goes offline. And then we do log all of your firewall events to WatchGuard Cloud so that you can, do compliance reporting and audit those. We have a lot of really exciting roadmap stuff around logging and reporting with the WatchGuard XDR platform. You'll start hearing a lot more about the XDR platform from your sales teams, your sales engineers, and other product managers at WatchGuard. But the general idea behind XDR is a central repository to do correlating threats and events that are happening inside your customer environment from everything WatchGuard. So the wireless and the firewalls, the endpoint products can all feed this platform and give you a centralized visibility to threats and events that are happening. And WatchGuard Cloud is the one product here at WatchGuard that is going to just continue to explode in benefits and features and products being supported by this management platform. So if you're not currently using WatchGuard Cloud, please, take a look at it, get a demo from your sales engineers. It is quickly maturing to a platform that is really, really good for our MSSPs and the markets that we focus on serving.
And we also have a free trial available on our website at any time. I would be doing a disservice not to mention that.
A free trial, and we have a interactive demo environment that you can walk through all the different features inside WatchGuard Cloud that the marketing team did a great job of setting up kind of an interactive experience inside there. So, okay, customers benefits. So what are the benefits customers are getting from doing a trade up? The latest security features, that's the big one, right? Everything, security is not getting easier. We need new tools, we need new technology to protect our customers. The other huge benefit is going to be around performance and security firmware upgrades, and we can really unlock, a lot of potential with something as simple as a firmware upgrade. So getting these new devices, running the new firmware and the new hardware will really increase the performance for your customers. And if you're really looking at moving into WatchGuard Cloud, the best time to move a customer in there is at a trade up. And once you're in WatchGuard Cloud, you can start to leverage this power of the unified security platform. And we can have an entire another hour-long webinar about the power of what we're calling the unified security platform. But we can simplify a lot of things from configuration to logging and reporting to save your engineers time on the setup, which will, impact your customers' pocketbooks because you're not spending 3 days converting a firebox. You can deploy it in a matter of an hour for, a normal mid-sized MSSP customer. So there are a lot of benefits to trading up. Keep in mind, there are also benefits for you to do the trade up. As an MSSP, it's your reputation on the line. So having the latest hardware with the latest security services are going to do the best to protect your customers, which protects your reputation as the MSSP. And getting a chance to go connect with that customer again, maybe they bought a firewall from you guys, and maybe they buy some endpoint products or occasionally do a project here or there. This is a great time to go sit down and talk to them. What's changed? What's new? All of those things we talked about during the audit kind of section to better understand what's going on in that customer environment and to have an opportunity to pitch those new services that you're offering as an MSSP. Keep in mind, WatchGuard has tried to simplify these for you. We offer FlexPay now across all of our products. Wi-Fi, Firebox, Endpoint, Offpoint, doing subscriptions through specific vendors around the world, distributors around the world. We have the MSSP program now. So if they don't want to do that upfront costs. We can do a subscription, or we can put them into the MSSP program. We also have our term licensing, right? In the Firebox, we have trade-up programs for the Wi-Fi. We got the new Wi-Fi 6 platform, and we have options to sell these products now the way that you want to sell them to your customers. And there are also benefits that you get back as a partner through the WatchGuard One program. So as your revenue grows, WatchGuard wants to give you more benefits with co-op dollars, rebates, all of the things that you get along with the WatchGuard One program. And Mark and Kayla's team put a ton of resources together that you can access. So here's 4 tips on where to go to get resources. The WatchGuard Resource Center, log into your WatchGuard.com account, go to the WatchGuard Resource Center. We have tons of material that you can customize with your own company logo. You can put an email campaign together, or work with your sales team to get connected with the FMMs at WatchGuard. They're here to help either get resources for you, work on campaigns together with you, and do all kinds of things to help move this this renewal or trade up opportunities along. The second one is the sizing tool, also available on the WatchGuard website. If you've never used the sizing tool, this is definitely one to check out. You can drop in that information that you get from the network audit. What's their internet speed? How many remote workers do they have? What's the port requirements on the firewall? And the sizing tool will give you kind of some options of what best fits that customer, right? It's a great starting point. I do recommend still talking to your engineers, your systems engineers that work with the customer to kind of make sure that that's the right solution for them. But the sizing tool will get you kind of in the ballpark of which few appliances might be the right fit for that customer. And then WatchGuard does have a big year this year on end-of-life products. So check out our end-of-sale, end-of-life policy page. And we're going to go through a little bit of that through the slides still today, but it's available publicly on our website as well. So you can go and reference what models are end of life, which ones do I need to focus on when I'm going through that customer list. And there's also a partner certification course on network security. This is available in the partner portal on our learning center. Brendan will walk you through kind of some of the end of sale, end of life things that you need to know about for the fireboxes specifically for this training. So good resources here, but also keep in mind, this isn't the, max or all of the resources that we can provide. If you have something you want to do specifically in partnership with WatchGuard to kick off like a trade up program, again, reach out to your sales team, and our marketing team really loves working with our partners to do things like those specific campaigns. Okay, I'm gonna actually ask Kayla to cover these next couple slides, talking about the end of sale and the end of life policies.
Thanks, Ryan. So, Ryan touched on this just a little bit. What is end of sale? What is end of life? And what does that mean for WatchGuard? So I wanted to go over some definitions here just to make it a little bit easier to help navigate these conversations with the customers that you have to start these upgrade projects. So when we're looking at end of sale, that is the last date that WatchGuard will sell to a partner or an MSP for that specific product. And this is going to be very siloed by product, right? Dictated by product. Then we look at the migration path. This is going to be the recommended based on performance, capacity, security services available to that appliance. And this can shift and adjust as we have new products that do come out. And then this last one, this last life cycle milestone is end of life. And what that really means is we've said the end of sale is occurring. We've told you what the migration is. We've given you 3 to 5 years to move away from that device. End of life is when we will no longer support that device and the subscription that goes alongside it. And so we wanted to go over these definitions. So when you hear us talking about end of sale, that doesn't necessarily mean we are no longer supporting that device. That just means we're no longer selling it. And with end of life, it really, alludes to it is the end of that life cycle for that product, and it's time to move on. I'm going to keep talking about end of sale and end of life in terms of the comms that we do. So here at WatchGuard, we have, communication notifications that do go out to the end user for an upcoming appliance or expiring license. So note up at the top that it does say end user. This is based on the information that the partner has actually put in of who the end user is. So we see a lot of cases where the partner puts in their own information. So the individuals on this webinar could have seen some of these emails come through for some of the appliances that we've put in end of sale or end of life in 2022. And it starts 6 months before that date even starts for both end of sale or end of life, right? There's going to be a notification saying this is going into end of sale 6 months in advance. We're going to drip some features and things that could help move along that upgrade conversation, such as the sizing tool that Ryan had mentioned, some of the top features based on the appliance is actually entering the end of sale or end of life. And then additionally, there at the bottom part of this slide, you look at the automated emails that actually go out from Salesforce. So the top emails are ones that we customize based on the appliance that's being sent out. The bottom emails that are going out, those are all automated to really just kind of help move along in more of the admin side. So top side, a little bit more marketing. Bottom side, a little bit more admin.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla.
Absolutely.
So let's jump into what products we're, well, one, why are we having this webinar, right? There's a lot of products coming for end of life this year. So we want to talk about a couple specifically. The Firebox T series, the second generation. This is the T15, the T15W. Will be entering end of sale, or has entered end of sale already. It was end of sale was March 1st, I think. No, I'm sorry. It was May 1st. It's May 1st, coming into sale. Also, you've probably noticed a lot of our Wi-Fi 5 access points have been going into sale as well. And so the Wi-Fi, the Firebox, the T15 is a generational end of sale. That box has been around for a very long time. And so it is being end of sale and being replaced with another solution coming later this year. The Wi-Fi 5 access points, these end of sales have heavily been driven by the global chip shortage. So a lot of the models we just can't get made anymore. There's a component or a board or an antenna or a radio that we can't get our hands on. And to find an alternate chip is either very expensive or it is a risky, it's a risk to put in a product that we haven't, used historically in these products. So this is what's driving a lot of the Wi-Fi 5 access points end of sale this year. The other products that are going end of life, and these are the ones that we need to get out. We need to talk to the customers that are using these. We need to work with your sales team, the WatchGuard sales team, on putting together a plan to get these replaced in your customer environments. So the first ones are the Firebox M first generation. That's the Firebox M 200, 300, 400, and 500. These are older appliances. Our new boxes definitely perform better. They run our services better, and all around just better hardware, and great opportunity. There's a lot of these boxes out there, so great opportunity to go out and talk to these customers. The Firebox T series, first generation, so these are the T10s and the T30s, are also end of life this year. Again, very popular boxes. The new hardware dramatically outperforms these, and it's time to get these traded up in your customer environments. The T50 and the T50W is also included. That it's not technically part of the first generation of the T series, but it is also end of life this year. And obviously our T80 just much faster than this T50 could ever dream to be. On the Wi-Fi side, we have the AP120. This was the first generation of our Wi-Fi cloud access points, is going end of life this year. And the AP322, which was our first generation of our outdoor Wi-Fi cloud access points, both are end of life, and definitely one we, on the Wi-Fi side, especially with the migration to WatchGuard Cloud and the new Wi-Fi 6 hardware, if you have customers running these APs, work with your sales teams, work with me to get a migration path to get them moved over to the WatchGuard Cloud wireless, the new Wi-Fi 6 APs. There's lots of performance benefits. There's a lot of integration between our APs and our fireboxes and our other products that we can make the work and the money to do the trade up definitely worth it for your customers. So if we look at kind of the trade up matrix, this is what's available in the trade up informational guides, and you can look at whichever model your customer has. So maybe an M300, you know, the trade up program supports the M390 or the M590. And it references, you know, all the different models that are end of life to what models are available to sell to those customers. Do keep in mind the T15 is going into sale, and so that column will be removed from this matrix when that date comes. So between now and the time we launch the replacement for that T15, we would be looking at going to a T20 for things like the T10 or anybody that is running a T15 that wants to trade up, be going to like a T20. Some of the top trade up features, obviously, we've added quite a few feature enhancements from the time that these boxes were originally sold. Just a couple highlights. Intelligent AV is our AI antivirus engine that runs in the Firebox, only runs on our newer appliances. It does take lots of resources and specific hardware to run this. The newer boxes run a much larger IPS signature database, so you're going to get a lot better security through our IPS engines on these new boxes. The access portal, really a big feature for those remote workers, can provide a remote access, an RDP session through an encrypted VPN, and it's clientless. It's all web-based, which is really nice to support remote workers. On the larger boxes and in that M series boxes, we did build in a lot of modularity. So if you need fiber, if you need additional Ethernet ports, if you need PoE, those are additional modules that we can put into our new boxes. So we can definitely support that enhancement and performance that our customers are needing when we move to these larger boxes. Overall, increased performance and speed, just better hardware. The new stuff just runs better hardware. And really that is the benefits that your customers are going to care about, right? But remember, you know, add your services on top of that, and it, you know, turns into a very interesting conversation to give them those additional features plus those additional services. Now is a great time to go and have that conversation. On the Wi-Fi side, we have announced end of sale on all of our Wi-Fi hardware except for the AP325. Again, heavily driven by the global chip shortage and our ability to manufacture this hardware. The upgrade path, the migration path, is to move to the new Wi-Fi 6 hardware. Granted, it is managed in a different management platform, and that's why we need to talk to your sales team, your regional sales teams, your sales engineers. Make sure you understand the impact of that, and we will work with you on building the right migration strategy to get them switched over to the new platform. The AP325, we do not have an end of sale date. We do have inventory, and we plan on keep bringing in hardware as long as we can get it. We will announce the end of sale date when we kind of get to the point where we're running on our last delivery of that. But a lot of this, the other thing that's been really driving this end of sale on the Wi-Fi is we've been pretty lucky through this chip shortage to be able to keep a pretty good stockpile of hardware. And so a lot of deals have been coming to WatchGuard. Hey, if you got 100 of these APs, we'll buy them. If you got 100 of these other APs, we'll buy them. So our normal kind of sales rates have really went up because we've been able to keep inventory in stock. And so that's kind of cleaning out these Wi-Fi 5 hardware very quickly. But definitely, if you have questions about this, reach out to your sales team. They can get connected with me if we need to have a bigger conversation about this. All right, and that is the content. We got some time for questions.
Yeah, we actually received.
Anything. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, we actually received a fair amount of questions, so I would love to jump in. Let's start off, and again, as Ryan, I'm sure you were alluding to, if anyone else has additional questions, please feel free to add them into the chat, add them into the questions, we're happy to help. First question though, I thought the WatchGuard policy was to have 5 years between end of sale and end of life. Why do some only have 3? And I think that's a very fair question.
Good question. Not a question that I wanted to answer, but we'll answer it. No, it's a fair question. And the WatchGuard policy is 5 years between end of sale and end of life. And our fireboxes do maintain that 5-year window of support in between them. Because of our challenges in building the wireless hardware, we've had to move that to a 3-year window. And there's really 2 reasons why. So the primary reason is the global chip shortage. So to be sure that we can support you on RMAs, support, getting updates to this hardware and the drivers on these chips that are become very, challenging to source, we shrunk that to 3 years. The other reason that we have a 3-year window on our Wi-Fi 5 hardware is because of our OEM contract through our wireless management platform that we use. And so between those two, WatchGuard made a decision that, we would rather shrink that window and be sure we can support you guys for the time that we say we're going to, than leave it at 5 years and have any doubts. Now, if we can keep, stuff running for more than 3 years, and there's a customer that, wants to do a migration, but they need a little bit of extra time, we are open to listening. We're open to try to help the best we can. Communicate that with your sales team. We can have those conversations. We will go back to a 5-year support window on any of our Wi-Fi 6 hardware because that's all WatchGuards. We can control that much better. So.
Not a question that you wanted to answer, but you answered it honestly, and that's all we're asking for here today, Ryan. You talked a little bit about trade up, and we showed the matrix. So we do have a question specific to, can I trade up an M300 to an M290?
Good
Very
question.
specific.
Very
it
specific.
Is a good question.
So if we run back to the matrix, you can see if we look at the M300, the M290 is not checked as a trade up option through our trade up program. And so the direct answer is no, but the answer that I'm going to give on this webinar is work with your sales team. We do recognize that a trade up used to be, I need a bigger box, I need a faster box, I need more people to support because of the way that networks were designed. We recognize that that is changing. So work with your sales team. It may not be officially a trade up SKU that you are using, but we do want to support customers that need to move to a smaller box or even a significantly smaller box because of their network needs. So work with your sales team and we'll do our best to support you.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible. We're happy to work with you and figure out something.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for those two. We have another one though. It's going to be another hard question. Price
All
point.
right.
It's a price point question. So trade up pricing is sometimes more expensive than the renewal. It's not necessarily a question, but it is a good statement. That does sometimes happen, and I'd love for you to explain why that might happen, but also what are some other ways that maybe we could provide discounts for those opportunities.
Yes, good question. So what we're seeing is when we do a trade up, obviously you're going to the new hardware. When you are doing a renewal, you are just renewing the services on the box. In WatchGuard, traditionally, a lot of our value was weighed in the services, in the security features that you're buying. What's happening now is more and more the cost of the hardware to support the much faster internet connections, the faster internal switching, to bring in options like modularity and all of those things into the hardware makes the hardware more expensive. And so when we're doing a trade up, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than doing a renewal because the cost of that hardware is just a little bit higher than what we've seen in the past, where we were able to build a new box for about the same price as what we built the original box on. So it will be likely that the trade up is a little bit more expensive than a renewal. In the event that you have a customer that maybe was planning on doing a renewal, but they see a service or a feature that they really want to use and they can't get it with the renewal, kind of again, reach out to your sales team. That is what they're here for. They're here to help you get, to close deals. That means to work on pricing, to help do a demonstration, or provide some collateral to show value in that additional cost. That's what they're here to do, and they're very, very good at it. So reach out to them and they can help with any of those things.
Great, Ryan. Yeah, well, device to device, it may be more expensive depending on the hardware that's inside of the appliance. There's other ways to get discounts per se, such as the WatchGuard Partner Program. We have varying levels of status there, and those provide excellent incentives to help kind of move along those opportunities that you have with partners. So simply reach out to us, just like Ryan said. We're happy to help and figure out a way forward. All right, so we have a Wi-Fi question, Ryan.
Okay.
What is the killer argument? So what is the argument for buying WatchGuard Wi-Fi 6 over brands like Ubiquiti and others?
Good question. So the killer argument, if there's one thing that I can say you're going to get benefit from WatchGuard with the Wi-Fi 6 platform, is it's all around our USP. It's around our management platform. So a lot of vendors consolidate kind of their technology into a single pane of glass. So I can buy an access point from Ubiquiti. I can buy a switch from Ubiquiti. I can even buy a security appliance from Ubiquiti now. What WatchGuard is building that makes us different is we want to consolidate our configuration into a more simple, more manageable experience. So for example, we have a feature called the remote access point, we RAP for short, where you can send an access point home to your employees or an executive, and we can build an encrypted VPN from a specific SSID back to the corporate firewall. Now, this is a feature we had on our Wi-Fi 5 hardware, and it took like 3 rocket scientists and like 2 hours to configure it. It's, you're setting up a VPN, you're sharing certificates, you're doing pre-shared key sharing, and it was a very complicated process. In WatchGuard Cloud, with our unified security approach that we're building, you can set up that same VPN connection in 3 clicks. You literally click what SSID I want to build the VPN from, what firewall do I want it to go to, and WatchGuard Cloud on the back end can share all that security information, the certificates, the pre-shared keys. And then on top of that, you can throw that into a template in WatchGuard Cloud and deploy it to 100 access points in a very, very short amount of time. So what you'll see from WatchGuard going forward is the killer argument to buying WatchGuard is WatchGuard Cloud. And the features, the benefits, the API integrations we're building with third parties, that's going to be the killer argument going forward for WatchGuard.
The answer is WatchGuard. It's always WatchGuard. And that actually wraps up the questions that we had here.
So if you have any questions or concerns or comments, just reach out to myself or your sales team. Like we've been stressing through the whole meeting, we're here to help you. That is what makes, WatchGuard so unique, is that we have a team of a really good salespeople around the world here to help you guys and work through these trade up programs or any problems that you may be running into. So thank you everybody for your time, and we will wrap it up for today.
Well, thank you. Have a fantastic day, and thanks for joining.
Thanks, everyone.